Today we're talking about the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Foundation and the concealer. I have been testing both out for the past few days, so if you're interested on how it performs on my only acne prone skin, just keep on watching. Hola mi gente, it's Mariluz here and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post every Friday either makeup tutorials, makeup reviews, or any other makeup related content to help you on your makeup journey. In today's video, I'm bringing you a review of the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Foundation and Concealer. This is the new foundation that Juvia's Place has released, and I do want to share what I think about it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start with the foundation. It comes in this beautiful box, which I completely love. It comes with the Juvia's Place logo, and the coral color just gives me the best vibes ever. Now the foundation retails for $20 for 1.0 ounce, and at the time of this video, you can only get it at juviasplace.com. It comes in 42 shades, which I think is amazing, and it ranges between 100 and 740, 100 being the darkest and 740 being the lightest. I got my shade in the number 510, which is called Aruba, and it's advertised as a medium with golden undertones. Now in terms of the actual packaging, it comes in a cute squeeze bottle, and it's not a twist cap, which I really appreciate because I always lose my caps for some reason. Now in terms of the formula, it's supposed to be a radiant, long-lasting, creamy, and comfortable one. It's advertised to be a velvety matte finish, and it's supposed to work with all skin types. It is a full coverage foundation. It is not medium, it is not buildable, it is straight full coverage, and is instructed to apply with a beauty sponge as opposed with a brush. Now in terms of the concealer, it comes in like a similar box, just a tiny bit smaller, but the design is about the same. It retails for $14 for 0.34 ounces, and just like the foundation, you can only pick it up at juviasplace.com at this time. Comes in 24 shades, which I think is amazing too. 1 being the darkest, 24 being the lightest again. Now I got mine in the shade 18. I do think it's a little darker for my skin tone. It is described as a medium to tan with golden and olive undertones. Now in terms of the actual packaging, I think it gives me that Tarte Shape Tape concealer vibe. Just seems a little bulkier, but the applicator seems about the same, and you get about the same amount of product. Now it claims to be a creamy radiant formula that smoothens, cancels out dark circles, blemishes, and skin imperfections. So even though it doesn't really say it, I believe it's advertised to be full coverage as well. Now I do want to demonstrate how I apply the foundation and the concealer, just so you can understand and see firsthand how the formula works, how I apply it, how it looks when it's recently applied, and how it oxidizes, because I feel like the foundation does oxidize. So the first thing I did today was moisturize my face with the Ginzing moisturizer. It's a gel moisturizer. Now I'm going to apply my Smashbox Photofinish primer. You know I always like to wear a primer before my foundation. Now this is like about the third or fourth time that I use this foundation and test it out, so I do have a few opinions on it. I have some pros and some cons, and I do want to share that with you while I apply the foundation. So the first time I applied this foundation, I applied it with a brush, which is a big mistake. I feel like it went really cakey and it didn't look the best. So when I looked at the instructions, it does specifically say to use it with a beauty sponge. So I'm going to be using my Real Technique sponge. I have damped it. I also squeeze it on my hand because if I don't control it that way, it is a full coverage formula, so it can get to be too much. So the first thing I do is I apply about this much, and this is a lot actually, and I just damp it on my beauty sponge and then just dump it all over. It doesn't dry that fast, which I really like, but you'll notice how full coverage this formula is and how creamy it is. It looks more like a paste. I don't know how to explain it. The other thing is I don't like much the undertone of this foundation. I think it oxidizes on me, but it can look like really different. I feel like when I first apply it, I look like an Oompa Loompa, but it does change on me. I mean, I used it to go to Disney once, and I used it at work as well, and my coworkers and the people that were around me told me that it was a great match, so I'm pretty confident it does oxidize. So I make sure I blend it out like on my neck and everything, so the difference is not too much. And I also try to not use like a cool tone eye look when I'm doing this. I prefer like a more neutral to warm eye look, because if not, the difference is too much for me. Full disclosure though, when I was trying to get my match, they didn't have that shade finder, so I went on my own. And at the beginning I kind of thought I chose the wrong shade, but then I went back and I used the shade finder and it told me to use this one as well. So I don't know, we'll see with time how it changes. Let me know in the comment section below by the end of this video if you think the shade is the right shade for me or not. But I don't know if you can tell, it is completely full coverage. Like, I feel like I just put on a mask. It is too much. I feel like it can get too heavy too quick. I tried to use a beauty sponge to get like all the excess foundation and just really spread it out. I like the fact that my skin looks very airbrushed and at least my pores don't show as much. And then the biggest problem that I have is that it cakes up around my nose. Like this area over here and then this area over here becomes a really huge problem area for me. I've used it without moisturizer, with moisturizer, with 2 different types of primers, and this area still cakes up. It looks a lot better when I apply a moisturizer. When I don't apply a moisturizer or when I use it with a brush, it gets a lot worse. I'm gonna give you a close-up so you can really see. So this is how it's looking so far. Don't know if you can notice, but it's already changing a little bit. It doesn't look like as an Oompa Loompa as the beginning. But look at this area over here. It kind of cakes up right there. And I try to like blend it up with the beauty blender, but it deposits more product than what it picks up. It also starts building up right underneath my nose. It doesn't dry completely matte. It's more like a soft matte. So this is a foundation that I definitely think we need to set up with powder like all over the face. I usually just set my T-zone, but this one I will set it up completely. Another beef that I have with this foundation is that it's not transfer proof. So if I put my hand against it without setting it up, you see the foundation on my hands. And I don't like that. I don't know if you can tell right now. My fingers are marked right on the foundation. This is one of the biggest problems I have with this foundation. So I have to set it up. I can't go without setting it up. But my pores though, like, where are my pores at? I mean, lately I have like the biggest pores ever, and this one doesn't emphasize them at all. I feel like it covers them pretty nicely, so I'm really happy about that fact. Now let's move on with the concealer. And side note, I do believe I chose a wrong shade. I usually use concealer to highlight, and this is not good for highlighting, but I'm still going to apply it just to show you how the shade looks like. So I know we can tell, but it did blend really well. I do like how it blended. I do believe it's really creamy. It doesn't dry down matte. It stays a little wet, so unless you set it up with powder, it will look shiny. I do believe it covers really well. So this is how the concealer looks like. As you can see, it looks shinier, so it doesn't dry matte. I don't know if you can tell, but it's already settling on my fine lines, so it's something that you definitely want to set up right away. When I apply this concealer, my foundation cakes up a little bit, especially on the areas that I highlight, but you see how it collects right here on my fine line. Sometimes I feel like the foundation is already a little on the cakey side because it's so full coverage, and the concealer just doesn't help it at all. I haven't tried this foundation with different concealers, but if that's something that would interest you, let me know in the comment section below, and I can keep trying, you know, different ways of applying this foundation and see how it works the best. But so far, this is how I'm looking. Before I become a creasy mess, I'm going to blend those creases, and I'm going to set everything up with my RCMA no color powder. So I set up my T-zone, and I'm going to use the flat surface to set up the entire face. I'm going really gentle. I'm not applying a lot. I don't want to look that cakey, so I'm trying to look as natural as possible, even though it's a really full coverage foundation. And I know I'm being a little bit too extra, but I make sure that I set my neck as well. And before I move on with the rest of my face, I want to show you how the foundation and concealer looks like once I set it up with powder. So as you can see, it is still pretty full coverage. It didn't lose the coverage at all, which is pretty nice, but at the same time it is a lot more matte. The radiant finish is not all there anymore, but I kid you not, like if I don't do this, it's gonna be a mess. Okay guys, so I finished my makeup. This is how it's looking. I ended up putting some gloss just to balance out the matteness of the foundation. I don't know if you can tell, but now it's kind of looking more like my match. Let me know if you agree in the comments. But from the outside, like from afar, it looks pretty cool. It's when it's super close that it kind of looks weird. So here is a close-up. Everything looks so airbrushed, and I do like that. But I do feel like it looks so heavy in this area right here around my nose and around my mouth, which I don't like at all. I mean, you be the judge. If this is a formula that you think it'll work for you, just look at my face and come up with your conclusions. It doesn't feel heavy though. It may look heavy, like at least I feel like I look heavy. Maybe because I'm not so used to full coverage. Maybe that's the problem, but it doesn't feel heavy at all. I don't feel like I have foundation. Now I'm going to insert clips for you because I have used this foundation to go to Disney, and I I also have used this foundation at work. I want to show you the before clips of how my makeup was looking that day before I went to Disney, which was really the first time I did a full face of makeup with that foundation. I was actually going to film that day, but things changed and we decided to go to Disney, and it was a really hot day. It was like 90 degrees and I ended up using the foundation like at least 8 hours. I remember it was around 2 when I finished my makeup and I came home around 11. So considering it was a really hot day, I feel like it did stood up pretty well, but there are just some little things that kind of have me like, I still don't know. Same thing when I went to work. I'm going to show you the after. I used the foundation for almost 10 hours, you guys. I did my makeup around 7 in the morning and I came home around almost 5 o'clock. What I didn't like about it is the transfer problem, because I like to blot even though I'm not too oily. I get a little uncomfortable or self-conscious about it, so I'm always blotting my face, and I'm used to the Estee Lauder Double Wear. When I'm blotting, like I don't see the foundation coming off, but with this one the foundation does come off when I blot, and that just really bothers me. That and the fact that it kind of cakes up around my nose and around my mouth. I mean, come on, I have enough problem areas. You don't have to emphasize this area right here. In a way, I do think the foundation is beautiful. I don't know what to think about it. I feel like I'm on a crossroads. To be honest, I've been blotting with paper, like actual tissue paper. I'm gonna see if using a beauty sponge to blot during the day would work to make sure that it doesn't transfer over and it stays looking okay. Let me know in the comment section below if you're planning on buying this foundation, because I really want to see if you're willing to test it out for yourself. If you have normal, dry, or combination skin and you have tried this foundation, if you had different results, let me know in the comment section below, because I kind of want to see how it works across all skin types. I'm really interested. And just give us a scoop. Do you set it? Do you not set it? Which primer do you use it with? Now, if you want to see more from this channel, I'll leave 2 videos right here for you to check out. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification button. That way you don't miss any of my future uploads. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.